If you've been eating healthy and working out for months or maybe even years and your body is still not changing the way you want it to, girl, it's not because you don't care, because clearly you're trying. It's just that you're following the wrong strategy. I've worked with hundreds of women over the past 7 years of coaching, many who came to me for help after eating healthy and working out for years. We're talking taking the fitness classes, doing the 5Ks, watching their carbs, mixing sugar, doing the boot camps, and yet nothing they were doing was changing their bodies. Sure, they had all the right intentions, but they were following the wrong plan. If we haven't met yet, hi, I'm Peri. I'm a weight loss and body transformation coach and trainer with over 10 years experience in the industry. I've lost 40 pounds naturally myself, and I've helped hundreds of women lose weight, shed fat, tone, build muscle, and tighten and strengthen their bodies. And over the past 7 years, I've had tons of women join my team who have been doing the exact same thing you probably have and just weren't able to see results on their own. Today, I'm going to walk you through the 5 reasons why eating healthy and working out doesn't work when it comes to weight loss, fat loss, toning, and building muscle, and what to do instead. Reason number one, eating healthy is not a nutrition plan. Let me tell you what happens every time someone new comes into my world, whether they booked a consultation or we kick things off. I ask one important question like, how many calories are you eating per day? And 90% of the time, most women have no idea. Instead, she can tell me she eats pretty clean, but that she has some treats and glasses of wine here and there. She can tell me that she cuts out most processed foods, but she still does take out 1 to 2 times a week. She can tell me that she's taking her creatine, her supplements, and her green powder, and yet she has no idea how much protein she's actually consuming on the daily. The problem is when we're so vague to say we eat healthy or we're eating clean, we're forgetting about all the really important factors that go into weight loss, fat loss, building muscle, and toning, like how much protein you're eating per meal, how much water you're drinking on a daily basis, if you have fiber and carbs present at every meal, how many milligrams of caffeine you're drinking every day, how you're fueling before and after your workouts. Like when you break it down, what does eating healthy even mean? Because it completely ignores all these other aspects that have a direct correlation not only on seeing results, but also on your metabolism, if you can build muscle, and if you can shed fat. Think about it this way. If you called up a car dealership and said you wanted a black car, they would ask you all kinds of questions like, well, what kind of black car? How many miles do you want it to have? What's your budget? What model or make are you interested in? Eating healthy is the same thing. It's too generic, it's not specific enough, and there's no plan for building muscle or shedding fat. And this is why so many women can eat healthy for years, but never see the weight loss, the fat loss, and the toning and definition they want. This is also why generic terms like I'm watching my portion sizes or I'm cutting carbs out or I'm limiting my sugar just doesn't really mean anything because it doesn't take into consideration all the other important factors like total calories, protein, fiber, and fueling around your workouts. And what we do know about body transformation is it requires a certain number of calories and macronutrients in order for it to work. Eating healthy also ignores the even bigger topic of metabolisms because no amount of eating healthy is going to repair or boost your metabolism, especially if you've been under eating or living in diet mode for years now. So you can see why eating healthy without any parameters around it and also eating healthy with a slower metabolism just doesn't get you anywhere. And this is why so many women feel so stuck, even though they're doing everything right on paper. Reason number two, most workouts burn calories without actually building muscle. Most workouts that women do are cardiovascular focused and or they don't create enough stimulus to actually grow muscle. I'm talking the fitness classes, the cycling classes, yoga sculpt, boot camps, Pilates, and running. Like, yes, it burns calories in the moment. And when you're on your 50th pulse movement of something in a Pilates class, you feel the burn. But it's not actually enough stimulus to tear the muscle and make that muscle grow. It also doesn't help you get stronger either. And when you break down what toning actually is, it's muscle underneath with less body fat on top. And as we know, if you want to look toned, you have to spend adequate time building the muscle first and then shed that body fat on top to expose it. And if you just lose weight or just shed fat, or if you don't build enough muscle underneath, you might lose a couple pounds, sure, but at the end, you might just look soft and skinnier and not actually look toned or tight. Like the transformation just doesn't hit the same. If you want to build muscle, especially ahead of fat loss, you need to be doing the same exercises every single week, tracking your reps, tracking your weight, tracking how many sets you do, and then increasing the load from there every single week. And we call this progressive overload. Progressive overload is the best format to use if you want to grow muscle and create that toning and definition underneath, especially ahead of fat loss. And I know the fitness class girlies don't want to hear it, but the boot camps and the yoga sculpts and the Pilates classes are not building muscle. It's not toning you because toning doesn't even exist. You have to build muscle so that you can see the muscle underneath and then shed the body fat on top so that what's left is a toned and tight physique. And unfortunately, that's just not going to come from a yoga sculpt class or from running a 5K. This is why you can spend months or even years taking fitness classes, doing cardio, and running 5Ks, but never actually look like you work out. I know this because before I lost 40 pounds naturally and built six-pack abs at the oldest I've ever been, I was teaching and taking fitness classes for 8 years. And I ran 2 half marathons and was even strength training as well. But no amount of those workouts ever changed my body like I wanted them to because I just didn't have enough stimulus on the muscle to grow muscle. And I was also trying to do too many things at once. Another downside of relying on cardiovascular formats and or fitness classes is a lot of them can actually cause you to lose muscle. And when you lose muscle, you're burning less calories at rest and you're left with an even slower metabolism than before. So you can see how eating healthy and working out and taking a bunch of fitness classes or switching up your workout formats can oftentimes leave you in an even worse situation than before, where you lost muscle, you're now burning less calories than ever, and then you just try harder and make things even worse. And this is the vicious cycle that so many women get stuck in for years sometimes. Luckily, this is how I can help, and this is exactly why Body Transformation Blueprint focuses in on the key exercises and training that are actually going to make a big impact for your body transformation. Reason number 3, building muscle and shedding fat requires different phases. Building muscle and losing fat at the same time sounds good in theory, but in reality, you're kind of trying to do two different things that require two different plans, and you're trying to do them at the same time. Let me break this down. Muscle growth requires a very specific training stimulus, plus enough calories, enough carbs, and enough protein for it to actually grow. You also need proper recovery because remember, you tear the muscle during your workout, you rebuild it with nutrition and recovery. When you compare this to fat loss or wanting to lose weight and shed fat, that's a completely different strategy because you need a calorie deficit and you also need completely different nutrition and exercise plans for that as well. So you can see how trying to do both at the same time where you're building muscle and shedding fat, it's kind of like trying to do two things at once that just don't overlap. And this is another reason why eating healthy and working out just doesn't work. A real transformation that you can actually see and feel requires phases. There's a metabolic reset phase, a muscle growing phase, a fat loss phase, and a rebuild and stabilize phase. And all of my clients who work with me inside my custom program, Body Transformation Blueprint, spend at least 8 to 12 weeks in each phase at a minimum. And when you look at the majority of women who are trying to lose weight, shed fat, build muscle, and tone, the majority of them have never spent any significant time in one of the phases. The one that they usually spend the most time in is in a fat loss phase where they're really just chronically dieting their entire lives. If you're a mom, here's an analogy that might stick. Let's say your kid has 3 tests they need to study for: math, history, and science. And you go in trying to teach them about all of the topics in a 1-hour session all together. They're probably not going to absorb the information very well. Rather, if you were to spend 1 hour helping them study for math, and then 1 hour helping them study for science, and the other hour helping them study for the other subject, they're probably more likely to absorb the information and learn what they need to for the test. Your body transformation goals should be no different. And if you're trying to build muscle at the same time you're shedding fat and you're doing everything all at once, you're likely just not going to see the results that you want. Before I get into the last two, I want to take a poll. How many months or maybe even years have you been trying to eat healthy and work out without actually ever toning or shedding fat or building muscle or looking fit like you want to? I truthfully want to know. Comment below because I read every single comment and you never know, I might be able to help you. Now let's keep going. Reason number 4, you can't track what you're not measuring. If you're not tracking your food, I'm sorry, you're totally guessing. And there's a huge gap between what most women think that they're eating and consuming compared to what they actually are. And I've seen it go both ways. I've had clients start working with me who are absolutely convinced that they're eating between 1,800 and 2,000 calories. They think, okay, I'm at a pretty good intake. Maybe I can do a calorie deficit from there. But when we actually dive in, they were averaging around 1,200 to 1,400 calories. So you can see how big of a discrepancy that is. On the other hand, I've also had clients come in and work with me where they think they're eating in a calorie deficit around 1,400 to 1,600 calories. But in reality, when we have them track their food for a week, they're actually upwards of 2,000 plus calories, and they're so blown away by how much fat they're consuming. Snacking and munching throughout the day can also be a big factor because those bites, licks, and tastes can also really heavily impact your entire calorie intake. I'm talking about the handful of nuts before dinner, or munching on your kids' leftovers while you're cleaning things up, or the candy bowl that you keep going back to in between meetings. And whether you choose to log your food or not, your body keeps score. Like, girl, whether you're logging the chips and dip or not, if it's going into your mouth, your body knows that it's going into it. On the training side, if you're not tracking your weights, your reps, and your sets, and increasing the load from there, you're totally guessing too. And I don't know about you, but I can't remember what workout I did last Thursday or even the one 4 Thursdays ago. Unless I'm actively tracking, I'm flying blind. And so for you, if you're coming back to back squats or lunges, or you're coming back to those hip thrusts, unless you've actually written it down and you're referring back to it to beat your score every single week, you're flying blind. And I'm not surprised you're feeling stuck or frustrated if you're not seeing changes. This is why tracking both your food and your workouts is so important for body transformation. It doesn't have to be permanent, it's not a maintenance strategy, but it's super important if you're trying to transform your body. Lucky for you, inside my custom program, Body Transformation Blueprint, we don't focus on eating healthy and working out. We track everything and we lead with data so we know exactly how to fine tune your program each week to keep your body progressing. And this is why my clients get results that they can actually see and feel. Reason number 5, your plan has no metabolism strategy. This is a huge topic that flies under the radar and it's being completely ignored. And yet it has a huge impact on your weight loss, fat loss, and toning goals. And honestly, this is one of the major reasons why most women are feeling stuck. No matter how much they calorie deficit, no matter how much they nix carbs, no matter how much they limit sugars, and no matter how many workouts or steps they get in. Because if you're trying to lose weight, shed fat, or build muscle on a damaged, downregulated, or slow metabolism, no amount of eating healthy or working out is going to translate into results you can see and feel. And when most women do that whole eat less, move more strategy, their metabolisms adapt downward, especially the longer they try it. The other factor to consider is once your metabolism has downregulated, most people try to put even more fuel on the fire, like they double down, they eat even less, and they do even more, which further damages their metabolism even more. This can cause muscle loss, also burning less calories than before, and body fat can pile on out of nowhere, even if you haven't changed a thing. And this is how creeping weight gain can happen. Because if you keep dieting or you keep trying to do more activity on an already slow metabolism, that body fat is just going to keep piling on, even if you're eating less than you ever have in your life. And even if you feel like you're doing more activity than you ever have too. This was the case for one of my clients that I worked with last year. She was a 37-year-old mom of three who was 4'11 and came in to start working with me at 1,100 calories. She thought, okay, I'm in a calorie deficit, I'm working out, I'm eating healthy. She was tracking her macros, and yet she wasn't able to lose weight, even at 1,100 calories. I knew from the get go, we not only needed to repair and boost her metabolism, but we also needed to focus on restoring levels of safety in her body and building muscle. We spent the first 12 weeks focusing on all three of those things, and we ended up increasing her calories to 2,400, and she lost 16 pounds in those first 12 weeks, all while enjoying twice as much food, more food than she ever had in her life. No dieting, no cutting calories, and instead, quite the opposite. This is all because we repaired and boosted her metabolism first, we focused on muscle growth, and we signaled to her body that it was safe to let go of fat. And this is exactly how I help my clients inside a body transformation blueprint. And it's why eating healthy and working out isn't the strategy. If you want to learn more about how body transformation blueprints is helping my clients lose weight, shed fat, and tone, and how it can probably help you too, there's more in the description below. At the end of the day, we all know that eating healthy and working out is always going to be better for your health than not doing anything at all. But when it comes to body transformation, where you want to lose weight, shed fat, build muscle and tone, not to mention repair and boost your metabolism, that's just not the best strategy to see and feel changes. This is also why so many women can feel stuck for months or even years, feeling like they're plateauing or feeling like they're not really getting that far because eating healthy and working out just isn't a strategy. It's way too vague, girly. Lucky for you, this is an easy fix because, again, your body's not broken, your strategy is. And that's exactly why within Body Transformation Blueprint, we hone in on four key pillars that make a big impact as it relates to your weight loss, fat loss, and toning goals. Metabolism, so we can repair and boost your metabolism and turn you into a calorie burning machine. Meals, so you have the exact nutrition strategy for building muscle and shedding fat. Three, movement, so you know exactly what workouts are going to build muscle, shed fat, and burn calories. And last but not least is mindset, so you can have a complete identity shift and finally show up in the way that you need to so that you see changes and you're able to maintain them long term. If you're curious how I might be able to help you and you want to pinpoint where you might be going wrong in your eating healthy and working out strategy, I invite you to book a free video consultation. We'll talk about your goals, find out where you're struggling, and we'll map out a plan to help you reach them. At the end of the consultation, if I feel confident I can help you, and if we both determine we're a good fit for each other, we'll talk about what a plan looks like for you. Click the link below to schedule your free video consultation today. In the meantime, if you want to go deeper on the nutrition side, I'm talking you want to learn how to lose weight, shed fat, build muscle, and tone while eating like a freaking queen. You want to know how you can eat 2,000 plus calories a day and still lose weight and shed fat. I invite you to watch the next video here. It's called, Can I Eat 2,000 plus calories and Lose Weight and Shed Fat? The answer is yes, and I'll show you how. Click to watch it next.